Hello, YouTube land. Happy Sunday. Good morning. I should start by saying that if you are sensitive to subjects involving SA or child abuse, please go watch a different video. Also, you may want to watch the other videos I've done on the subject. It's not a comprehensive thing at all, but it will give you some of my ideas and feelings as we went along. This has been a big mess, hasn't it? So much crazy stuff is going on. It's hard to know what to think. There are things I keep coming back to, though. I watched The Interview Room with Chris McDonough, which is an iffy prospect. But it was his most recent conversation with Don Wells, right? And the thing that kept like sticking in my head is when the abuse with his sister started. He was 12 and she was 5. And Chris McDonough kept highlighting 12 and 5, 12 and 5. She has a sibling that's 12. The undertone of the whole video that I really got, Chris was trying to highlight that Dawn is an abuser, and once an abuser, always abuser, is where they're coming from. But the thing that I have gotten from this whole thing, when you look at um, their records, Candace's parents' records, stepfather, when you look at all this whole family, it appears that there is um, generational abuse, that the things that happened before repeat themselves. Not that the guy that abused kids when he was a kid continues to abuse kids now. That's really the wrong supposition. The right supposition would be that the environment that created that person that did that still continues at their house. The whole conversation between Chris and Dawn, the thing I found most disturbing about Dawn was the way he thought interactions between a 12 and a 5-year-old were just things kids do, and that there was nothing wrong with that age difference. That's just part of being kids, is the impression we got from him. He said that he remembered it started after he got his motorcycle. He's given all his boys motorcycles. I think we've all seen signs from Summer in the photographs that and her behavior that indicates she may be being interfered with, especially if you're a kid that went through that yourself. You can see that. But the question is, who is it? Who was interfering with Summer? The whole time this has been going on, I believed in the parents' innocence for a long time. Because it doesn't make sense to me that they would kill her on purpose because she was a lovely child. Or B, that if there was an accident, why would you cover it up? You'll get in so much more trouble. It don't make sense. The only way it makes sense is if it was one of the boys. Then it makes sense to cover it up. with everything that you have. It makes sense to go out and talk constantly and draw the attention to yourself. It makes sense that they let people say all these horrible things about them and pick them apart. And mom says nothing. What if that's what happened? What if there was an accident involving one of the other children doing something with her they shouldn't have been doing? And the parents knowing that they'd lose another kid. You know, in the John Bonet case, I always thought that was the most likely reason. It's the only logical reason to cover it up. It really is. If it was any other kind of accident, there's no reason to cover it up. There's no reason to. She went in the house that day with her brothers. And nobody saw her again. And if that isn't the case, whoever did it needs to step up, because it's the only conclusion we are left with. The police have said she was not abducted. Everyone is a suspect. Don was 12 and his sister was 5. They kept repeating that. And he kept acting like, well, that's it. I was innocent. That's innocent kid stuff. Maybe when Jeannie came out and told everybody, it wasn't because she thought it was Dawn. You know, the way supposedly him and his friends chased Mary around trying to rape her, and she had to lock herself in her room. And that's kid stuff. They were playing. I think that tells you what happened, doesn't it? The father's attitude about what went on in the past, and whether or not it's serious or whether or not it's a big deal. You don't think it's any big deal. And he's raising 4 kids, 2 of which are 12 and 5. It's disturbing and it's heart-wrenching. And nobody else want to say it because you're not supposed to speculate about the children, and I apologize to the children. But with everything that's went on, if you listen to the things that the police are saying, if you listen to what Dawn is saying, you look at how heartbroken Candace is and how she don't want to say nothing. How she worries about getting her boys back. I don't know. It needs, whatever it is, if this is the case, it needs to be addressed. Time passing isn't going to help. It won't help the other kids. It won't help anything. It'll just make everything worse. If that's what happened, I understand why they did that. Why they would have covered that up. And I think most of us would agree. You wouldn't know what to do, would you? You just wouldn't know what to do. I hope I'm wrong. I hope she's somewhere else. I also have a theory about maybe they stashed her to keep her out of foster care, which I really like that theory because then she's fine. But I doubt that's true. And after this much time, she's probably not fine. I think what the police have told us tells us that they know a bit. We don't know why the boys were taken from them or what it has to do with. We don't know. I pray for her every day. I love her so much. I really do. What a spunky little kid. I was like her when I was little. My family was kind of poor and rough around the edges. I ran around barefoot and I'd play in the rain. I was like her. That's why I don't want her to be lost. She shouldn't be out there in the ether. She deserves to be in her own place. Whether she's with us anymore or not. I hope it all turns out. I really do. I've worried for this family so much since it started. Because I could tell everybody wasn't going to like them. The instant I saw them. And I felt bad for them. I've known a lot of different people like them over my life. Some of them were deep down wonderful people, and some of them were pieces of crap. But you can't tell by looking. Mom always said you can't judge a book by its cover. And she was right. My mom was a wise woman. I kind of agree. And that's sort of why I'm, that he was 12 and she was 5, and he was 12 and she was 5, and they kept saying it, and I was like, is no one else making this connection? It's not Dawn. And in fact, he's just like, I think he's just taken the fire. I thought it was genuine. She sounded really upset. It could have been faked, and she could have been a patsy too. You know what I mean? Dawn could have faked the whole thing, and she thought it was real. That's possible. You know? But they'd been using Mary to set him up. Chris McDonough, and I'm not sure, maybe Voices Behind the Wall too, had been having Mary bait him on recorded phone calls, right? To see if he'd say something. And they figured it out. So to get back at her, they did the same thing. Yeah, she could have been drinking. Or, Dawn could beat her up too. She has had a restraining order against him before. I mean, given the situation she's in, it is probably not hard to get herself to cry. I mean, things are pretty bad right now. She could have been drinking. I thought she sounded genuinely upset. She did. Now, I don't know how they got her to sound genuinely upset. I don't know if he beat her, they tricked her, or she's just that, spiteful. But Mary was, calling them, lying to them, and tricking them. Remember, Mary called them on Chris McDonough's behest and said that Jeannie had filed charges and that they were going to arrest him. Remember? And made it up. That was made up. which I think was pretty underhanded. They're trying to goat him into doing something. And then, so what they did is they just did the same thing back. Yeah, I think she is scrappy. But Don is also a big man. Don's very tall. And I mean, some of her dental problems, which, no shade on her for having those. I have my own. But it could be from being hit. It's her front teeth that are missing. Yeah, and I agree. I feel like she's scrappy and she could hold her own. I wouldn't want to fight her. I wouldn't want to fight her. That girl's a toughie. She's been through a lot in her life. You don't want to mess with a woman like that. I just think that's one thing that makes sense that they would cover it up. Everybody keeps thinking, oh, they're covering up an accident or something. Why would you do that? You'll get in so much more trouble than you would if you just, you know, reported it. I mean, why would that be your instinct? That doesn't make sense to me. Unless the boys were involved. And I know you're not supposed to speculate about them because they're children. And had, I figured this out like 3 days ago. And I've been trying to figure out how to talk about it. It's taken me this long to figure out how to say something. There's a video of Don. The first videos with Don. His boy is standing there, has his arm around him, and he's staring at the ground. Just staring at the ground. When Don said something about the horrible person that did this, the kid squirms a bit, and Don tightens his grip on him. And then further in the interview, he says, they've looked everywhere. They can't find her. We don't know where to look. And it's the only time in the video that the boy lifts his head up and he looks over there. It's in that video. The answer's in that video. It really is. Have you seen it? It's like from the local news station. And he talked to them. They broke it into 2 clips for their newscast. But it's not very long. Yeah. And if you watch that and pay attention to the body language between Don Wells and the son, I think he's showing guilt. And the things that Don says that causes him movement, where he breaks his staring at the ground and does something else. Because of course, your natural thing when you think it is, he's kind of upset and scared, and so he's, and there's a camera, so he's staring at the ground. But kids aren't really that way around cameras now, Anyway, if you watch it again, the behavior is weird. And I think that might be why the police aren't saying much. And the only thing they're saying is she wasn't abducted and everyone is a suspect. Everyone. They're kind of saying it without saying it. Whatever, we need to, this needs to be over. Everybody that's following it's been following us so closely, and it's been going on for so long. And it's the one thing that makes sense that the parents would cover it up. Maybe by covering it up, they were trying to do what they thought was right. They thought it would protect their other kid, you know. Because I keep going back to the Ramseys and remembering that situation. And it seems similar. Yeah, I think they probably have everything they want with their phones. It's been 2 months. They offloaded the data, like transferred it to something else so they didn't have to, keep them for a long time. But I don't think it would affect, the lack of service wouldn't affect that. It'd be in the phone. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and the pings and stuff can prove where everybody was. I think even if he was at work, he decided what to do. I know that they were in a messenger call the whole time, right? Is what was said. Oh, good morning, Mr. Rooster. My neighbors have free roaming chickens. But I think he could have, he could have been giving Candace instructions on what to do. And he could have told her to put her somewhere. Because he didn't go straight to the house, remember? He went down to the bottom first to look. And he also said that when he got there, the police weren't there yet. He did say that. What was Grandma doing while Mom and Don were looking, while Mom was looking for her and Don was on his way home? What was Grandma doing? And yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like they had a lot of time to do something. I don't know. The cops also wiped their phones from 3:30 onward. Like when they got them back, there was no data after 3:30. I don't know why. That's what they said. So I don't know if I can't believe she left either, and I can't believe she's still gone. And when Mary asked Candace if your mom was going to come back, she said no. Well, I mean, it's been a long time since Rose went missing. It has. And the scary thing is it's the one person both situations have in common. Candace was on the other side of the country. You know what I mean? None of them were around, so they don't have nothing to do with it. But Grandma is the only one that was around when Rose went missing and when Summer went missing. You know what? This is one of my favorite freakish fringe theories. That Rose is still alive and she took her. What about that? Wouldn't that be good? Wouldn't that be a good dramatic twist? Or maybe Rose has been alive and been in hiding this whole time. And they wanted to hide Summer, so they gave her to Rose. See, I like the nice theories where she's okay somewhere. I'm trying not to smoke on my streams, and it's quite difficult. I'm trying to be a good kid. I know, I can't believe she left either. I don't understand it. That makes me think there's something, you know what I mean? It's like there's something rotten in Denmark. There's something not right. Everybody's acting a little weird. But I don't think the parents did it. I think the parents loved their little girl. And everybody keeps going, oh, the parents killed her. If that was your little girl, would you kill her? She's a fantastic little girl. Just a little ray of sunshine. Why would you hurt her? Well, I mean, I think they have. They've been looking all over it, but those people have dogs and different things, they're professionals. And that is really bad terrain. Like she could just fall in a hole or something. She really could. It really is. Somebody knows something. I don't know. I thought somebody came up there and abducted her, but the more the police keep saying she wasn't abducted, that tells you they know something. Yeah. But if they know she wasn't abducted, they know something about what happened to her. They're that far along in the case that they know that's not true. Well, you know what I mean? That's what the police keep saying. She was not abducted. Everyone is a suspect. I don't know how they know she wasn't abducted, but they haven't said much of anything except for that. I don't know if they found something at the house that, you know. And I know that sometimes they'll figure out who did what and wait to take somebody into custody. And really, as far as we know, we don't know where the boys are or why they were taken either. It could be because they think they were involved or they're witnesses and they want to keep them separate so they can't, get a story straight so that they might be able to get the truth. Because I don't think like they all did something to her. One of them was, quite small himself. He wasn't very big. He was, he was really close to her. I guess it would be the oldest boy or the two oldest boys, but I think that's really what I took from that interview that he did with Chris was that he doesn't think there's anything wrong with kids doing that. What do I think of Candace? I think Candace has had a really hard life. She seems like she's caught up in something. You know what I mean? I think that she's a hurting mom. There's great sadness in her. Great, great sadness. And because she don't, act, demure and sniffling all the time, people think, oh, she's just the kind of person that doesn't show her emotions. When I first saw her, I thought she might be a bit autistic or something, that she has issues. And I think people are attributing all of that to drug use, and I don't think that's true. I think she does have issues. And also, too, most women that do drugs were abused when they were children. It's like, it's a staggering statistic. You know what I mean? So people shouldn't hate her regardless. She's that way because of things she's been through in her own life, too. You know, all these people coming out saying they're victims or that Summer was a victim and everybody's all up in arms. I really think that she's a victim, you know, and people just aren't seeing that. I don't know. That's what I see. I see somebody's had a really rough life. And she's kind of created a rough exterior for herself to protect herself. But that don't mean she's not a good mom. There's this thing where there's lightning and Summer don't know what it is. And she's going, why is it doing that, Mommy? And she's like, that's the lightning, honey. But the way she says it to her, like the way she explains to her, you hear such a patient, loving mother. I always thought she was weird from the jump, and the way they inserted themselves into everything. I always thought that was weird, and that she was mad because she wanted to go say hi to Summer, and Candace wouldn't let her because Summer was asleep. Yeah, she could. She has a 14-year-old boy. I mean, I don't think Allie is physically capable of taking Summer, but I think her boy is. And the way she mocks her, too, like, ha ha ha, they took your kid. That sounds like she knows who. If I was the cops, I would have had her in a room for 2 fucking days and wouldn't let her leave. I would have hammered her till she said something. She's the one person that really has an axe to grind with Candace. I never liked her. She's too petty. And if she thinks Candace is such an awful human being, why does she let her 14-year-old run around with her unsupervised? Maybe Allie's got it for Dawn. She thinks she gets Candace out the way, she can have an instant family. Because she seems really obsessed with getting a guy, like that whole Jose thing. Like, she seems a bit desperate. And their church is so weird. They go to that weird church. I know, right? She's a nut. Candace should get a medal for not beating her ass. She really should. Because that woman she did everything to justify beating her ass. I don't know if you know old school rules or whatever. But she is like ticking all the fucking boxes for an ass beating. Nobody blamed Candace for kicking her ass. You know what I mean? Like the way she's slandering her, mocking her missing kid. My mom was a saint, and she would have beat her ass for that. You have to be careful, though. She's a mighty big woman. Mighty big. And like there's in that interview, too, you can tell when Hunter's lying because Allie's trying to act all casual and everything while this thing's going on. And it gets to a certain part of the conversation, and she turns her body directly towards him and starts fidgeting with the lighter and stuff like she's coached him on what to say. She's an awful woman. They should charge her with obstruction. I think so. There's a lot of people asking for it. And that's like, in the mountains of Tennessee, that's what they do. You go running your mouth, people don't run their mouth and reply. They show up, tell you you're a gobshite and beat your ass. Yeah. See, and I haven't been getting them hugely guilty vibes off of them. I do get ultra protective parent vibes off of them. Like this, even all this drama that they're creating and stuff, it's all to make sure everybody's looking way over this direction and not towards their boys. Yeah, I know. Really. I know the way she said that day was like, I'm sorry you feel that way about us, but we love our children with everything we have. And I saw deductionist watched that, and he said that's 100% truthful. That her saying Summer was just gone, that's truthful. That, they love their children, that, all of that's truthful. It makes me feel bad for them too. My mom was disabled, so when I was a little kid, people would try to take me away from her all the time because the house wasn't clean and things like that. I know exactly the situation. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't mean Candace is not a good mom. It's the opposite. She just thinks other things matter more than the house being clean. You know? Yeah, it does. It does. I've been in the same place for a couple of days ever since the prank call because that makes them a little less trustworthy. I can kind of understand why they did it, and they were drunk when they did it. Y'all just should not drink. You gonna mess your shit up? Don't drink. Jesus won't like it. I hope they figure it out soon. But yeah, that's what I think. I think there was, things going on between the boys and Summer that maybe shouldn't have been going on, and that maybe the parents turned a blind eye or didn't think it was a big deal, and then something happened. That's what I think. Could have been an accident. It could have been on purpose. But I mean, what would you do if you had, 4 kids and one of them, there was some accident and they killed the other one? What would you do? What would you feel was your responsibility as a parent to do? Would it be to report it? Or would it be to cover up what happened to protect that kid? Because I think a lot of parents, it'd be B. The Ramseys did that. I'm almost certain of that. That's why I tried to do all the abduction deflection and then take the hit themselves and not get mad about it. Just take it. Like, I think that's because they're protecting their children, and that would make you willing to do that. Don't you think? I don't know. It's the one thing it's the one answer to the question that makes the parents not the worst people in the world. I mean, it doesn't make them great people, but it's understandable why they would do that. I don't think anybody that has kids wouldn't understand. Yeah, see, would. And plus, you got to remember, they don't have a bunch of time to decide and think about a bunch of things. They have to decide right now what they're going to do. And I think with that kind of pressure, you would pick your kid. You would. You'd pick protecting your kid because your instinct as a parent would tell you that was the right thing when you couldn't figure out what the right thing was. Yeah, I think so. I think they do. I think they need to fess up because if it gets found out later, the kid will be tried as an adult. And it'd be better for them to go through the system while they're young. And if it was an accident, it was an accident. I mean, they might have been doing something they shouldn't, and because they were committing another crime and she died during the commission of another crime, that'll make it a murder. But the courts need to sort it out. See, really, the thing is, if that's the case, the other 2 boys, don't make them guilty for this for the rest of their life. Don't make them hold it and shit. That's not right. If that is what happened, the only way you can salvage anything from it is to tell the truth so that the 2 boys you have left that are not responsible aren't made to keep that secret. Because that'll ruin them. Hey. Anyway, that's what I think. It's quite awful. I almost didn't say anything because it's really bad. But that's what we got. I hope it comes out soon. It needs to. But from what the police have said and the things that Don said about what went on with his sister when he was young, I think it's pretty obvious what it is. But nobody's saying it because you're not supposed to speculate about no children. And I was very uncomfortable about it. But, we're all grinding our wheels trying to figure out what happened to this kid. And it's so much chaos and drama. But I think the answer's right there. It's right in the open, and it has been the whole time from the very beginning. In that interview that the dad did with the boy standing next to him. Okay, well, I'm going to jump off here. Thank you for coming. I hope you subscribe and all that. It'd be lovely to see you again. Have a great Sunday. Hopefully we get answers soon. Praying for Summer. I'm praying for the whole Wells family, really. So, hopefully. You have a great day. Oh, thank you. I am fair. I'm trying to be fair. I'm not the kind of person that's going to assume parents would murder their kid. Why? Why would you kill your kid when you had the most adorable, prettiest, sweetest little thing running around? Why would you do that? You too. Have a great day. It was great talking with you. Beep.